Jared, Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and welcome to RAWtalk episode number 50, and it is pouring again here in Philadelphia, Steven.
I don't know what it is. Every time. Every week.
We've been having a lot. This is a lot of rain.
Yeah.
No wind.
But we got to see if this week we can hear whatever your roof leaking.
Whatever that was.
Like
that wasn't
time.
a good drippity drop thing from last week. Anyway, coming up on this week's episode, we have a special guest in the studio by the name of Shawn Corrigan. He is a world-traveling photographer. He's been around the world with many bands. He's worked with some huge name celebrities. He's going to talk about making connections and what it's about to how you get jobs, how you price jobs. He's going to talk about his experiences traveling the world with different bands and how important it is to assist, and we've talked about that before. But you're going to be sure to stay tuned for that after we get done photo news and what we normally have to do. There won't be flying solo this week because we have a guest, but his interview is really good one, Steven.
Yeah, it's very solid.
It's a solid interview, and if you're in LA, you may want to keep a listen to, if you're in LA looking for a assisting gig,
definitely,
you may have a chance. Just keep a listen to that after we get to it. Steven.
Yes, sir.
How was your week?
Could have been better.
Sorry,
could have been better.
I should have thought about that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Let's get to photo news.
So starting off, we have a new world record. We have photojournalist, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but Delish Parekh or something like that.
I believe that's Delish Parekh.
Yeah, Delish Parekh. He holds the Guinness Book World Record for the largest camera collection. You would love this.
I saw it.
He actually beat his own world record earlier this month. He revealed that he now owns 4,425 cameras. That's crazy. His previous record was only 2,634 cameras. Only 2,634.
Good for you! La-di-da-di-da-di. You've got 4,400 cameras.
What do you have, like 5? Like your F1 through 5?
No, I probably have maybe 50 different cameras here. Well, between Polaroids and old Kodaks and things like that, but I haven't collected. If you really want to, here's how you collect old cameras. There are estate sales and auctions that go on all the time. There is one outside of Philly that I haven't gone to yet, but they always have a lot of just cameras. Not just a lot, like A-L-O-T, space, it's a lot, L-O-T. So they have a lot of cameras that maybe would have 30 or 40 different ones, and you're like $100, and then you like buy them and you own them. So yeah.
Nice.
I'm not ripping on this guy. It's awesome. 4,400 cameras. It looks amazing.
He also started off because apparently his dad passed down his collection, which was 600 cameras alone.
Cool.
Now, the cool thing is that he only collects usually unique and rare cameras. So he owns one of the rarest ones, which is a Leica 250 Reporter. It was made in 1934, and it's one of only 1,000 ever made.
That's cool.
And
so it's like baseball cards.
Yeah, pretty much. He also revealed the collection on World Photography Day, which was August 19th, which is pretty cool. He apparently had that much cameras and held the world record, at least in his own eyes, for a couple months, but he wanted to make sure he revealed it on that day.
Sure.
Next up, we have a photographer named, he's always, these names I can never pronounce, Mario Aldeco.
Spell it.
A-L-D-E-C-O-A.
Aldecoa.
Aldecoa? Whatever. Mario, he reclaimed his...
Mario! Luigi!
That sounds like a Mickey Mouse Mario.
Mario! Oh, I'm sorry, that's Mickey Mouse?
That is Mickey Mouse.
I'm Mickey Mouse, and I'm here to save the day because I'm Steamboat Willie. Hello, Minnie Mouse, would you like to come back to my boat? I'll show you my anchor.
I think of that South Park episode. I don't know if you ever saw it. It's
where they do where they do Mickey?
Mickey, like the crazy killer.
Yeah, I forget how it goes, but I remember seeing it.
But this guy, Mario, he reclaimed his camera after it was yanked underwater by an alligator 8 months ago, which is pretty cool. So he thought this thing was long gone. Apparently, he lost $1,300 worth of camera equipment to an alligator at the Everglades Alligator Farm, only to be returned by another alligator about a year later.
Hello. I'm an alligator. I'd like to trade in my Canon camera. Here are the pictures. Oh, I guess they all have speech impediments.
Well,
I'm talking like an alligator that has speech impediment.
At least he didn't take his hand like Chubbs Peterson.
Chubbs Peterson. It's all
movie
in
reference.
the hips. It's all in the hips.
But he had his Canon 60D flash tripod set up about a foot away from the water about 8 months ago when an alligator apparently snagged it, took it underwater, and he thought it was long gone. Just a couple weeks ago, he saw a strap on an alligator leg and retrieved it.
He saw what?
Basically, the strap.
Oh, not a strap on an alligator.
Not a strap on an alligator.
Saw a strap on an alligator.
Did I say strap on an alligator?
Something like that.
Well, he saw a strap on an alligator.
No, you actually said it right. I took it to the wrong place.
The mind-blowing part is that the SD card was still intact after being under this like muggy, murky water for 8 months. And he posted the pictures online right before it got taken.
Those cards are more robust than people believe.
It's crazy.
People have washed compact flash cards.
I've done that.
And dried them out.
And it works.
And then,
I still use it to this day.
I wouldn't reuse that card, but I'd be like, thank you.
It's like my backup of a backup card.
It's the last
resort
so
kind of
cheap
thing
now.
Yeah. And this is like my 1 gig card from like 6 years ago when that was like the highest capacity card you could buy.
What'd you spend for it?
I don't know, probably like $30 at the time when it was like the biggest deal and like over 256 megs.
Let me talk to you about a 1 gig card. In 2003, when I got my D2H, the 1 gig card from Lexar was $229. And that, when I said that to people, they're like, the first 1 gig card I bought was $999. So not me, but other people were like, so
that's crazy.
Yeah, no, not $30.
I mean, I'm just guesstimating here.
Stop
but
guesstimating.
I want to say it was about
facts.
We have Prince. He's another one to join the photography ban. He's banned photography and video at his shows, like She and Him, Yeah, Jack White. We talked about this prior.
When you say
She and Him,
Zooey Deschanel and M. Ward.
Yep.
The albums are fine, but she's so pretentious anymore. I loved her. I had a thing for her.
I loved her when she was with my man, Ben Gibbard.
Well, she got him clean, and that's when the music started to suck.
Yep.
And then he got drunk again, and then I'm sure the music's going to get better.
Well, I'm hoping Death Cab's next record will be phenomenal.
But
give me another transatlanticism, and I'll be happy.
I just got
with
really tired of her
thinking she's born in 1920.
Good and so awesome and so amazing. I mean, she's very privileged. She came from a privileged family in the first place. But I just liked her back before she started.
Do you like New Girl?
I've never watched The New Girl, so
I've
I don't
watched
have any opinion.
It's decent. I mean, it's not my kind of thing, but
yeah.
Moving on, though, he's again another one to ban photography and video. It's not as shocking as the previous musicians, though, who have done it before.
Wait,
because it's
the
Prince.
Yeah Yes did it?
Yeah, the Yeah Yes.
Wait a minute. Shannon O. Terry O.
Karen O.
Karen O. She is so, and she eats the microphone. I just want to punch her in the face.
Maps.
I don't know that song.
What? You don't know that song? That's like their hit.
I thought their hit was Wait a minute. My name is Stacy.
That's not Yeah,
I know.
Yes.
That's not my name. That's not my name.
Yeah.
Her name was Stacy.
What happened to that band? But he's calling it his purple rules. State that no photography.
Purple rain. My name is Prince.
The artist formerly known as Prince.
My name is artist formerly known as Prince. I wear a lot of purple and a lot of assless chaps. I'm gonna sing this until it rains purple. Then you're not allowed to take pictures or video.
You done yet?
Or I will shove my Prince-shaped guitar where the sun don't shine. What are some other Prince songs?
I don't know.
All right, go ahead. Sorry. I've interrupted you too many times.
Yes. But yeah, his purple rules state that no photography, video, or phones in general are even allowed in the venue. And even though Instagram, YouTube videos, they still came to life after he stated that. But apparently people were getting their phones yanked out of their hands, like if they tried to take video. Now, I don't know if this also relates to press photographers and stuff like that in the pit.
No, because I know a press photographer who was there.
So yeah, this is just specifically to fans and that kind of stuff, which they should have. You know, they're paying for the show. They should have the freedom
but it's Prince.
to do it.
And
it's
so
Prince.
There's that thing where it's a shock value thing, and he doesn't care at this point. He's all about putting on a show, and he wants you to enjoy it. But whatever. I don't give a shit. You want to take pictures? Take a freaking picture.
I agree.
Anyway.
Reuters has officially reassigned their North American sports photographers in favor of a new deal they have with USA Today Sports Images. It's kind of a bummer for those guys.
Well, it just means that... Go ahead.
So starting on September 15th, all of Reuters sports photos will come directly from USA Today Sports Images. Reuters North American sports photo editor, Peter Jones, says, in quote, it was purely a business decision and that their business plan calls for using the money that Reuters saves on covering sports to reinvest in photo covering more news.
That's bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just say it like it is. We struck a deal with USA Today.
It's cheaper.
we're gonna use their photographers, so their full-time gig people are gonna shoot, and then those photos are gonna end up going to Reuters, which means that the photographers that are shooting for USA Today aren't gonna make any more money off of this.
Yep.
They're just either contracted or whatever. They're gonna do the shoots. I know a USA Today photographer. He does sports.
So he's probably one of these guys.
So maybe he does for USA. Maybe he'll get more gigs out of it.
Yeah.
This is the times. This is what is happening. Photography, and this was something I was going to talk about, but maybe not even talk about. But photography as a full-time job today, there aren't many. I can't say generalize. There aren't as many photographers that you think that do photography full-time successfully, make a full-time living, and don't have any other way of subsidizing their income. You run into a lot, like at Allen's, I run into a lot of photographers that shoot weddings, but they also have a regular job where they have other businesses that they've created. A lot of the photographers that you run into, they have a lot of money. They're doctors. They're lawyers. They spend a lot of money on gear. They don't make money on photography. And then you get the people.
More of a hobby kind of thing.
It's a hobby, and they want to have the best gear because it's all about keeping up with the Joneses with that. And then there are the people that want to just shoot. And then you get the guys that they'll get some jobs here, or the teachers that on weekends they shoot weddings. Even newspaper photographers back in the day.
Yeah, I actually know a couple that shoot weddings
they
on
would
the side.
shoot weddings on the side to subsidize their income. So just keep in mind that photography is very, very difficult. And just because somebody seems to be very successful as a photographer, you do not know what else they do on the side to subsidize their income. That is something that you want to keep in mind. Have that if you have a job and you do photography, also take the extra money. Rainy day fund, man.
And I think a lot of people think that these lavish photo shoots when you get up there are super expensive kind of stuff, but you're not getting paid that much unless you're some head honcho commercial photographer kind of thing.
Exactly. You may just be getting a simple day rate, or they may even price you out, and you may say charge somebody $5,000 for a shoot that they're spending $100,000 on props and everything else, and you may not make as much as you think.
Yeah, exactly. And just wrapping up that story, so some 30 to 50 photographers are going to be affected by it. They're going to be reassigned to non-sports coverage, so they're still going to be shooting. Now, they can still shoot photos, sports photos specifically, but outside of North America if they do coverage for Reuters from now on.
That's Europe.
Europe, exactly.
Basically.
Pretty much. This is kind of cool. Facebook unveiled shared photo albums this week. So basically, it allows multiple users and friends to contribute photos to one single album instead of just yourself uploading to your own album. So instead of multiple random albums from every friend that was on the same trip or whatever, you can organize everything into a single album. It allows up to 50 contributors, and you can also upload 200 pictures each. Upload up to 200 pictures each. It'll include 3 privacy settings: public, friends of contributors, and contributors only. And also, the only thing is, only the album's creator can delete photos. Contributors can only upload and not edit. So that's kind of a big thing.
Well, when Facebook decides to actually come up with a good system for uploading images, in terms of quality-wise,
it's so bad. What is that? Thunder?
That sounds like thunder.
I think, yeah. I didn't hear the drip yet, though.
It's thunder. It's lightning. It's frightening.
Now, it's only available, though, to limited users so far. The Facebook is going to gradually roll this feature out. So I don't know if you have it yet. I don't have it yet.
I didn't even look because I don't really put together shared folders.
And they keep changing the dimensions and everything. The Lightbox, I feel like, is getting worse and worse. The uploader tool in general, for me, crashes all the time.
Look, when I go onto my Facebook,
freezes.
when I go onto FroKnowsPhoto, facebook.com/FroKnowsPhoto.
Yeah, you were telling me the other day.
It just sits there and just gives me the what's going on box, and I can't scroll any lower because there's no information there.
I have that problem with the radio station.
Right. And then what I do is I click on, that's when it's clicked on highlights. And then I click on to stories from my posts that I put up. Then it works. But then I don't see what other people have posted, so I can't comment back to them. It's just, we can't really complain. We don't pay for this service. It's free.
True.
So it's one of those things. There's people like, man, Facebook really sucks right now. My Facebook isn't working. It's like,
You'd think it'd be flawless because it's the biggest freaking website in the world.
Yeah,
you know
over 1.5 billion people. Yeah, and their stock has gone up tremendously. It's back over $40.
Oh, really?
A matter of a month ago, it
wasn't the best when it first launched.
Well, a month ago, it was about $18.
Wow.
It's gone up over 50% in a matter of a month.
Nice.
Should have bought in.
Twitter for the win. All I gotta say.
Whatever.
We have fans of Games of Thrones will love this. The HBO series revealed a behind-the-scenes special effects video from their season 3 shooting. This is really cool. It showcases basically the use of green screen, CGI. Every scene is just there's green screen everywhere. Everything's like fake and made up, but it just looks really interesting. The cool thing is they show before and after scenes. They'll show like in the studio a green screen behind it, what it's shot like directly from the camera, and then they'll switch. That was lightning. Whoa. I don't know if the GoPro got thrown off by that. 2, 3, holy shit. 3 miles away, is that what it is?
That was right around the corner. Cause that was a lot of.
We're on the top floor too.
Well, and we live in a metal building. No, it's not a metal building.
Uh-oh.
Wow, that was a big roar.
Yeah, that was.
All right, back to Game of Thrones.
Anyway, yeah, so before and after scenes, it's really
Winter
cool.
is coming.
Yeah, there's a lot of snow scenes in it, obviously. But if you're a fan and you're a fan of just photography and video and that kind of stuff, check this out because it's really interesting stuff. And then we have some kind of side news. The Canon 70D, that's pretty much available everywhere now.
I sniffed it yesterday.
Yeah, you did the sniff test. How'd it smell? Fresh?
It smelled like...
new car scent?
Well, no. It smelled like the foam finger that Miley Cyrus used to... twiddle her niddle
when she was twerking up against Beetlejuice. I mean, Robin
Beetlejuice. What, Beetlejuice?
Yeah.
Why is that what he looked like?
Oh, you didn't watch it.
I saw the stripes.
Well,
Beetlejuice. I'm not gonna say it again.
If you say Beetlejuice 3 times, you're gonna have Miley Cyrus now twerking on you. That's
Beetlejuice,
what's gonna happen.
Beetlejuice. Where's Miley Cyrus twerking on me? It's not happening.
Yeah, right. And then you wanted to also bring up some news as well, I believe. But that's pretty much it as far as my end of photo news this week.
All right, hit up my camera. I'm going to have you sit at the table this week because we have the interview, so we're not doing the flying solo portion. And for people out there wondering why Steven goes off to the side to do it, it actually makes it easier for editing right now. The fact that we don't have to cut multiple angles. Steven has to cut the first half an hour usually, saves him time. One day we hope to go to a better system that allows us to live edit so everything is done right away. But why don't I just talk about Nikon Alan's Palooza or Alan's Nikonapalooza.
Ooh, we switching the names?
Well, Alan wanted the other way. Alan wanted it to say Alan's Nikonapalooza.
Well, I'm sure it makes more sense for him.
Which sounds pretty good. But Nikon Alan's Palooza, either way.
That flows better, I feel like.
Well, but then he was telling me, I'm like, Alan Nikonapalooza sounds pretty good too.
It's still a tongue twister in my
It is. But let me tell you about Nikon Alan's Palooza or Nikon Alan's Palooza.
You just said the same thing.
Or Alan's Nikonapalooza. September 21st, 2013 from 11 to 4 at Alan's Camera. I almost gave my address. At 4401 New Falls Road in Levittown, PA. There are people coming in from around the country to take part in this. What is it? Well, there's going to be thousands of dollars in free giveaways. We're giving away a D7100. We're giving away a AW100. We're giving away some other stuff that we haven't even talked about yet. And for anybody, even if you don't shoot Nikon, it's a great day to come out, get a taco from the taco truck, which we are supplying for free to the first 200 people, a free taco meal at the taco truck with a drink. And somebody also asked about the free giveaways. They're free giveaways. It's not a raffle. You just enter if you're there, and you can win one of the you can win the prizes. So there's also going to be a tent, and I'll be sitting there, and I'll be for 2 minutes. I'll give everybody 2 minutes where we can do a rapid fire critique of your work. You can ask whatever questions you'd like to know about photography. You get those 2 minutes. We'll interact one-on-one, and then we'll move on to the next person. I think it's going to be a great time. It's going to be really busy. And if you're looking for some used gear, all used gear from anybody is 10% off in the store during this. And we're probably going to have them set up some online promotions for people that are watching at home or at home and not able to make it.
And I actually personally buy a lot of used gear, but I only buy it when it's like 10% off, for example, like with lens rentals or borrow lenses or whatever. I'll usually buy used gear from them, but I wait until they do that special. So that's a great special.
It is a good special.
Yeah.
And there's going to be other deals going on. I came up with a deal that I told Alan for film gear. I hope he does it. I'm not going to talk about that one, but I'll talk about the one that he's not going to do. If you ever went to a baseball card show, you ever been to a baseball card show?
I have.
Remember the grab bags, brown paper bag with cards in it, and it was like $2, and you never know what you're going to get, the grab bag. So I said to Alan, for $20, it's a mystery film camera bag. You just put a bunch of the old film body in a bag, and you charge $20, and what people get is what they get.
That'd be pretty cool.
It's kind of funny.
That is good.
Because who knows? I mean, there's so much used film stuff there that I'm like, maybe you should do it 50% off all film gear.
And that's what he didn't want to do?
Well, I don't know if he wants to do the 50% off thing. We'll see.
Yeah.
That's what I want him to do.
You say 50% off used gear?
50% off film gear.
Oh, I thought you said
film
used gear. I was like, what?
No, used gear will be 10% off.
Okay.
This film
That's
gear,
still
we don't
great,
know.
though. Yeah.
I want to see if that film... Anyway, so moving forward, I guess it was Photo News, and I guess it was on Petapixel and that other one, F-Stoppers. It was about a wedding photographer in New Mexico who... I'll just read. It says, wedding photographer Elaine Huguenin of Elaine Photography, LLC, was ruled against by the New Mexico Supreme Court, stating that she cannot discriminate against same-sex couples. So basically what happened here, she was contacted, I guess, in 2006, or she was, there's no guessing, she was contacted in 2006 by a couple that was a same-sex couple that wanted her to photograph the wedding. She gave a nice reply. She said that she doesn't do things like that. I'm paraphrasing there. She doesn't shoot those type of weddings. So then the other person from the couple sent her another email as if they were a regular couple, and she got a much nicer email back and that they would shoot the wedding.
Interesting.
Now, they filed a suit saying that it's discrimination for that photographer not to want to photograph their wedding. And New Mexico Supreme Court agreed with them, and I just want to give my opinion on this entire thing. Same-sex marriage for photographers, and what I think about this.
In my opinion,
in my opinion, I don't think that Elaine did anything wrong. All right? Discrimination is terrible. Discrimination is horrible. But as a small business owner, as an owner, we can pick and choose the clients that we want to work with. I have done this with weddings where if you feel that you will not get along with the bride because she may not be the type of bride you normally work with, it's up to you to say, well, I don't think it's going to work out. And usually that just works itself out.
Yeah.
You know that you're not the same fit, but that happens. I turn down jobs. You don't have to give reasons. It's just sometimes you turn them down.
Well, just as much as, you have to be right for the client also has to be right for you.
Exactly. I don't agree with the Supreme Court there ruling that she discriminated. She chose not to do their wedding. She didn't do anything like say, I don't believe in what you guys do, and same-sex, whatever. So she probably doesn't believe in same-sex marriage. That's her opinion. I could care less about same-sex marriage. Get married to whoever you want to get married to, pay all the taxes you want to pay all the taxes to. This is an opportunity. Well, the other thing I want to say is, first off, if this person didn't want to shoot your wedding, why would you even go back and give a crap? Basically, go find a photographer that wants to shoot your wedding. I wouldn't want this person shooting my wedding if they didn't believe in it. I think that same-sex marriage is an amazing thing for today. It's a great opportunity for photographers. It's a great opportunity for anybody in the wedding industry.
Yeah.
From the flowers to the caterers to the tux people to the clothes to the wedding halls and anybody else, the videographers. Why? Because this is more people getting married.
Exactly.
The more people that get married, the more opportunities you have to make money. Also, generalization here, stereotyping coming out of my mouth right now, so don't yell at me. Same-sex couples tend to dress better, eat better food. You're not even smiling because you don't even want to be brought into this. This is my opinion. Have more fun. I mean, I could see going to a same-sex couple's wedding, two guys, and having me go out and dance on the dance floor with a bunch of their friends. I don't care. It's about having fun. Same-sex couples want to spend money. The money spends the same way as everybody else. Who cares? Take the opportunity. If your niche is same-sex marriage, it's only a matter of years until this actually goes across the country.
Oh, yeah.
And just takes hold.
I'm surprised it's still not all the way.
Well, it
just blows my mind.
It may never go all the way.
Yeah.
You got places like Texas,
South,
you got places like
generally.
Utah. Those things may not happen, right? And the South, but this is an opportunity for people today to pick up extra jobs and just enjoy themselves. Yeah. So I've said it both ways. I don't think that this person was being I guess they were discriminating, but they chose not to do the wedding for their own personal beliefs.
Yeah.
If that's what you believe in, then why should you have to go take that job? We have the choice of taking jobs or not taking jobs, and that's that. Same-sex marriages, I would shoot a wedding every day of the week. I don't care. It's a great opportunity. That's what I have there. So that's that, Stephen. I got one more thing. I have one more thing that I'd like to talk about. We're going to make a separate video on this, but I want to talk about no more gatekeepers. If you want to reach anybody in this world, you can reach them. For example, I have gotten tweets back from Howard Stern direct to me.
Ooh.
I've gotten a tweet back from Peter Souza, Souza, the photographer, the White House photographer. Chris Henderson of 3 Doors Down. I've gotten in contact with him. We've talked on the phone. We've talked about me teaching him some photography things. I got to him.
Wait, you mean he actually like watched your channel is what you're saying?
No, we talked on the phone.
You were teaching
I gave him a call.
That's cool.
And he's like, what are you looking? He's like, I was thinking of going to school. I was thinking of doing this. We just had a long conversation.
Interesting. So this is like a hobby for him.
This is a hobby that he enjoys.
But he wants to learn more.
Yeah. He wants to learn more. I got in touch with Zach
channel.
Arias this way.
Cool.
You know? And then yesterday, I got a private message on Twitter from Randy Johnson.
That's awesome.
For anybody that doesn't know Randy Johnson, he's the big unit. He is one of the, he's going to be a Hall of Famer, a pitcher in Major League Baseball.
He's not a Hall of Famer yet?
Not yet. I mean, you have to wait a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Baseball is one of the hardest ones to get into the Hall of Fame, but he was that dominant as a pitcher. He has been a photographer all along, I think probably before his baseball career professionally, and now he's taking a ton of pictures. Here's what you want to do. If you want to get to somebody, you can get to them. I want to give you some tips and tricks to doing this. Chris Henderson has an Instagram that may only have a couple thousand people on it that follow it. There is an opportunity right there to interact and comment on his work. If you want to talk to somebody, don't be a fan. Don't sell right away. Don't be like, hey, I want to interview you. I want to do this. Just be like, man, that's a cool photo. What did you do to make this? Just start asking questions. The more you interact with people on Twitter and in their social streams, they will start seeing this interaction. They will become familiar with you. Shawn even said this today when he met you. It's like, I already know you, Steven, because I've heard you're on RAWtalk.
That is funny. Yeah, he did say that.
But that is how we live today. We know so much about people's lives from what they put out there that when you meet them, it's like, I already know you. So we seem to get along really well. But you want to get in touch with somebody, you can go to their Twitter feeds. Sometimes they have millions of people. That is not the best place to get in touch with them. If they have a Vine or if they have an Instagram, usually it's a smaller following. That is a great place to interact. Ask those questions, and then they'll start commenting back to you. Then they'll follow you. So now they're starting to see what you're putting out there. This sometimes is a long-term deal. It's not like in 2 days they're going to be contacting you privately to talk. But I sent Randy Johnson 2 messages publicly. The first one was, hey, I'd love to interview you. I mean, I guess I asked for something. I was like, I'd love to talk to you about your photography.
Yeah.
And then the next one was I commented on one of his music photos. I was like, that's cool. What are you doing? Where'd this come from? And then he sent me a private message. So you have access to everybody in the world today. You just have to figure out how to get in touch with them and how to interact. Just interact. Become known. Once you become known by them, it's like you've become a friend because they know who you are.
And speaking of bands too, they have so much downtime too. If they're on tour or something like that, that's all they're checking.
Just catch
half the
them
time.
when they're doing a major Twitter thing.
Exactly.
Because there's times where they sit down.
That's when they're going to be checking the interactions and all that kind of stuff.
They'd be like, I was at your show. I loved what you did here. Or I see that you love cars. Or I see that you loved this movie. Talk about something other than their music and things like that.
Yeah.
But that's what I want to talk about there. That's really it. Cool. I'll end it with don't be a fan.
And then who we got coming up?
What are you trying to move me along, Steven?
No, I'm just
You're just trying to interrupt me? Coming up right now, we have that interview that we talked about with Shawn Corrigan. He is currently on his way to the airport because he had to get in and get out to fly back to LA from Philly to get back to the jobs, and he's going to do some excursions. But he had a fantastic interview. He's a really cool guy that I've known since college, and he had some killer tips that I think you guys are going to dig. And if you're out in the LA area and you're young and you're hungry and you are good at what you do, there may be an opportunity to become an assistant for him. So keep a listen out for that, and let's get into this RAWtalk with Shawn Corrigan, and then I'll be right back to wrap up the show. So I have here Shawn Corrigan, world traveler and photographer. You like that? I wrote that myself.
Thank you.
World traveler and photographer. It's all true. Look at his bags in the background. We had to use the elevator. It's the first time I had a guest have to use the elevator because he had 50 pounds of bags and think tank stuff. And I don't know, where are you going?
Today I'm actually just headed home to Los Angeles. I've been on the road for 2 weeks now. Doing some personal stuff, seeing my family, and put a trip into San Francisco in there. So I feel like I always keep some bags packed, and then when I'm at home, I just kind of live out of them and supplement them and do my wash.
Every once in a while.
Yeah, when I get a chance to.
So let's go back to the back to the past.
Okay.
Where'd we meet?
Me and you met was it college or high school?
I think it was college.
College, okay.
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Archbishop Wood.
No, we never met.
And
Wood.
then William Tennant. That's actually where I met Richie on the first day of school.
How'd that go?
First person I met.
Hey, what's up? I'm
He's
Richie.
like, I'm Richie. I want to be your friend. And that's it. We were friends.
You guys fit together very, very, very well.
Yeah, I think so. He's like, we complement each other.
Yeah.
So we met Antonelli Institute, and that was, geez, I don't know.
2000.
2000?
Yeah.
Cool.
So after school, I mean, how do you end up going to become a world traveler? What did you do? What were the steps you took? How'd you get here?
Kind of complex. I'll break it down a little bit, and you might need to get me back on track here. After college, I was like, let me become a snowboard photographer. All I wanted to do was snowboard all day and live in the mountains. So I was building houses, saving money up to move to Aspen. And my friends came home and they were in a band called The Starting Line. And we had grown up together playing in lots of punk rock bands. These guys came at me and they're like, hey, our guitar tech quit. We're leaving in 2 days. Why don't you come with us? And I was like, I don't know what a guitar tech does, but yes, I will go with you.
So you didn't know anything about guitar teching?
I had no idea what I was
Did
doing.
you know how to like tune the guitar?
Yeah, I grew up playing guitar, so, and I was kind of handy.
Oh, well, if you know what it is, I mean, I think I could guitar tech. I mean, I've been on the road long enough to see what these guys do. I mean, I couldn't. I'm sorry to my buddy Shannon Gabriel. I couldn't take your job, but no, I mean,
You could make it look like you could do a really good job for a day or two,
yeah,
and then maybe if something went wrong,
then like
it's
change the string.
What do I do?
Yeah, the octave's too low, or it's too hot out, so the strings are all. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about.
There's crazy stuff that affects guitars, but I just looked at it as a way to travel. I was like, I don't know what this is gonna be. I packed my cameras. I had just bought the first. My first Nikon F5.
All right.
And I thought it was going to be the first and last camera I purchased.
You still have it?
I don't have it.
I got mine over there.
Really, I probably should have saved it, but it was one of those times I'm like, I could sell it for $500, and I did.
You can buy it for $300 now.
I might buy one just to have it and put it on the shelf back at home.
Exactly.
It was the most amazing camera I ever owned. You could burn a roll of film in like 2 seconds. It was so cool.
8 frames a second.
Yeah.
So that was, 3 seconds?
Yeah, and
8,
how long?
16, 24. No, it goes more than that, so it's about 4 seconds.
How long did it take digital to catch up to that?
Well, I don't think digital caught up to that technically until the Nikon D2H, which did 8 frames a second at 4 megapixels. I mean, that was my whole thing to waiting out digital with Nikon was until something matches what my F5 can do, I don't want it. And the first camera that did that for me was the D2H.
Oh, I mean, that makes sense.
So you shot Nikon back in the day.
Dude, I always shot. I thought like it was it. Nikon made the best stuff. Richie shot Nikon. I was like, this is what I need to do. I think you shot it. You were probably an original Nikon guy.
Yeah.
First camera was a Minolta SRT 101, with the 50 millimeter your dad hands down to you and you're like stoked on it.
Yep.
So Nikon shooter, went on the road, took out my camera gear, and I was just traveling every day. We're all living in a van together, just going from town to town to concert. And that went on somewhere for like in and out of the next almost 10 years of my life. And I still travel with musicians every day. So it was
you
great.
Want to name some?
Well, I spent a lot of time with The Starting Line. They got my roots. And then I toured with Fall Out Boy exclusively for a while. And now I've kind of ended up in the pop world. So we're doing like Big Time Rush, One Direction. Victoria Justice.
Who's Victoria Justice?
Victoria Justice was a Nickelodeon television show called Victorious.
I didn't know that.
Now she's a pop singer. She's like gonna be the new Katy Perry. Maybe. I don't know. I like Katy Perry, so Katy, I'm sorry. We can hang out. But yeah.
Do you hang out with Katy Perry?
I have never. I photographed her a few times, but never into intimate like kind of situation.
Is that what happens in LA? You kind of run into a lot of celebrities?
You run into everybody.
Who have you run into? That sticks out in your brain?
Like bumped into in the street or like I ran into on a photo shoot?
Talk to. Just somebody that you've talked to that you were like, wow.
I think the oh wow moment for me was working with Cameron Diaz. Because I was like, Toby from Maxim called me. She was the editor at the time. And she's like, hey, we have this shoot with Cameron Diaz. We need some people to interact with her. I've worked with you before. I know that you can handle it. Will you be in this shot? And I was like, just the back of my head in the, what was that, her movie, Hot for Teacher?
Yeah.
And just, I'm not an actor and I'm not really good on the fly. And she is so witty and so fast. I was just like, just frozen there, like deer in headlights, like just bounce things off her. And not to mention she's incredibly good looking, you know, and just like a presence when she comes in the room. So,
Right. So you toured with a ton of bands. How did Fall Out Boy come about? Just run into them on the road?
We did, when I was at the starting line, we did a Warped Tour together with them. And Fall Out Boy's tour manager at the time, his name is Dan Su, who now does Psy, the Korean dance sensation.
Oh, really? Psy still exists?
He does exist. We have a cool story about him in a second. But he used to ask me every day to work for them. And I was like, at the time, I was like, I will never work for you. And then here I am like 5 years later, and he calls. He's like, hey, come to Canada with us. And I was like in a position where I was like, sure, what am I doing? Let's go.
Yeah.
And then we did the Much Music, their Video Music Award, which is MTV Canada. And that was pretty cool. And then it was I don't remember the album cycle, but it was like 2 albums ago. It was a really big one. We did a huge worldwide tour for it to support it. And it was good times.
So you've been able to take photos traveling the world, but not as usually as the photographer for that.
So it started out as me just being a technician for them, or a guitar tech, or a tour manager, or a production manager. And that allowed me to shoot photos, but I wasn't exclusively a photographer. And then I threw in the towel from that. I was like, that's it. I'm done touring. Let me focus on what I want to focus on. And that's when I got into this groove I am now, where I just shoot or I just create, you know, like, I don't know what to call them, like TV shows or movies or motion content, like, you know,
so you're doing
video
a lot
products.
more video stuff than stills?
I say it's about half and half. Most of my big commission work is video. I was one of the early adopters of the 5D. And, you know, I kind of like, as soon as it came out, I was like, this is a really good skill set. I'd already had some experience with video. And I'm like, I want to do this. And I want to teach the people that I assist for how to do this so I can be their dude.
Gotcha.
And it's been great for me.
So I know that you were secretively out in, was it Mexico back in the day doing the D4? Was it Mexico?
It was 2 years ago, right? When we
Before
launched
the camera
D4.
came out, yeah.
So we shot in Mexico and then 2 locations here in the States. And it was pretty cool. Nikon sent us out prototypes. We get to our hotel we're in Tlapacoya, in Mexico, which is super south, kind of by this region called Veracruz, which is just banana plantations, jungle, and waterfalls. And we get there at the hotel. We meet the rep from Nikon, and the cameras are in Japanese. We can't read any of the menus. So we get on the phone with them, and they're like, hit down button 3 times, and then over once, and then down twice. And we're trying to navigate these prototypes to get them into English. And then it turns out like, oh, we need to do a firmware upgrade.
Oh,
But a firmware upgrade in a prototype camera is like off a satellite internet connection is, you're like, oh, wow. What am I doing now? Am I a computer programmer?
right. So basically, for those out there listening, you were assisting Corey Rich?
Yeah. So Corey Rich is this amazing adventure photographer from Lake Tahoe. And I've had the pleasure of working with him for a number of years. And like, you know, there was 4 of us there. There was 2 other guys, Dane Henry and Rex Lint, and they were doing video. So they did behind the scenes video of me and Corey working on this video. And it's one of those things where once you see the body of work that we need to create, it ended up being all hands on deck. We're all shooting a little behind the scenes video. We're all shooting main role content for it. Like, you know, we have 3 weeks to cover 3 athletes with some cameras that have never been used in harsh environments. And, you know, we made a great film from it, but it's all hands on deck.
I've watched the film. I've watched the behind the scenes thing. You're in the behind the scenes one. It is fantastic. What's it like to get a call and be like, you can't tell anybody what we're shooting with?
They're like, hey, we have this job. We can't tell you what it is. Can I send you an NDA? And then you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Sure. And like, you know, a good job's coming when they're like, hey, can we send you an NDA first? You're like, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
So you just feel honored. You're like, wait, so a few people in the world get this camera and I'm part of the winning team.
Yeah.
You know, it feels great.
That is, it must have been cool to go out there, especially when they're paying you to travel, paying you to shoot. It had to be a lot of work to make that all come together. Because you travel, you have to take all the gear with you. How many carts of gear were you taking?
We might have had like 30 cases with us, 30 Pelican cases.
Wow.
There's a funny clip in the behind the scenes where I got on the baggage conveyor and went around with all of our bags. Yeah, just so much stuff. Like we were literally with machetes hacking through banana fields to get to these POVs to see these waterfalls. Like they are not off the road. They're like in harsh jungle conditions. One of the guys almost got dengue fever. He got, from all the mosquito bites. It's 95 degrees. We're wearing head to toe, long sleeve clothes, winter hats, just anywhere you can keep the bugs off you.
Ooh, that doesn't sound like fun.
No, we wrecked a helicopter, like
an actual helicopter?
An octocopter.
All right.
We had this great guy with us. His name was Mike Hagedorn, who actually now works with the guys from the movie. He's like one of their technicians. And we were coming down this valley in this waterfall. And for those viewers on YouTube, it was like this. And it's this one shot, and we're tracking with this kayaker. And then you come out over the lip of the waterfall and it ducks down. But there's a lot of air turbulence that happens when the water starts free falling. So he flies out. Something happens, flies up, hits the blade, and then luckily, we got a prototype camera on here, 80-foot waterfall. Luckily, he ditches it in the weeds.
All right.
So save the camera, helicopter, needed a little rebuilding, but yeah, you're just like, oh, whew, thank God.
That is crazy. So talk about some of the jobs that you do, or the process of getting a job, the process of pricing a job out. It's never easy.
No, it's never easy, and it's never the same. Every job's different. And I guess, do you want to talk about marketing first, or do you want to talk about let's say I got a job, how do I price it, or how do I...
talk about how you've marketed yourself to be in the position to get those jobs. Is LA an important part of it? Did going out to LA really help you?
I think going out to LA definitely helped a lot, and it helped because there's a lot more access to talent there. Like every musician, goes through New York and they go through LA. Now they don't have as much time for you, let's say, as if you lived in Nashville and, you could get on the guest list or stuff like that, or these guys have downtime. But what it does is New York and LA are the kind of cities that everybody goes to. So it's super competitive. So it really forces you to if you want to make it, you are really driven there, because there's this guy next to you wants it just as bad as you do, and he's going to work for it. So that's definitely helped me. So when we think about pricing a job, right, you get a call. Like the other day, I got a call from Malcolm Moore's management. And they're like, hey. Malcolm Moore, Ryan Lewis.
Oh.
So they call me up and they're like, hey, we found your site. And they found it from Google. I swear to God, I was like, how'd you find me? And he's like, oh, well, it's just Googling around and I found you. Music photographer, Los Angeles. Those are my SEO keywords. So hey, we saw your site. We like it. We want to do this job in the desert. And I'm like, okay, tell me more about the job so I can price it. I'm trying to get a sense of what it entails. And they're like, oh, we have these exotic animals. We have these locations. We're going to drive out there with a couple of cube trucks, one full of props, one full of hair and makeup. They're like, I can't remember their real names, but the two key, it's not Malcolm Moore and it is Ryan Lewis, but
I forget his name.
Great dude. So I've worked with him since, but they're really cool. They're really low key. We don't need a lot of hair and makeup. We just want to get out there and do the shot. And in my mind, I'm like, how do I price this? They're Billboard #1 band. They're charting like crazy. It is for a promotional poster for tour, and they're renting exotic animals. So I'm taking those things into account. I'm like, okay, they have budget. They already have their permits, so they're really on top of things. And I put a number in, and then I was too high, and I didn't get the job. And somebody else shot it, and he did a great job, and it was exactly like they described it. So it's just one of those things, you win some, you lose some, but at the end of the day, you need to feel good about your number. And I felt good.
Do you know what the number ended up being for somebody else?
I wish I did. I don't.
Because you want to know how far off?
I would love to know how far off I was. And sometimes I do, and I know you spoke about this before in the past, is if I feeling a client out and I know they have a number in mind, I'm like, do you have a number that you need me to back into? And sometimes they'll be like, oh yeah, here's a number. In this case, I put that feeler question out there. I didn't get a response. I didn't get the job, but I felt good about not getting the job because I was happy with the number I was at.
Yeah.
So
it's just the fact that they found you is always interesting.
I was honored, man. I was like, really? I'm getting a call from these guys today? That's so rad.
Yeah.
So,
Steven, do you need help over there? Because I'm seeing you all tied up in wires. Do I need to reset the camera? Good. You're good. You're going to do it? Yeah, don't mess up.
Man, these are Nikons. You don't need to reset anything.
Why not?
Because they're awesome.
Yeah, but how are we supposed to get to 20 minutes?
Well, you know.
That's something we don't. The way we get to 20 minutes is we do the live thing with the Black Magics.
Okay.
And that continues to go to a SSD drive or to a computer. It allows you to continue through the HDMI out to do straight through recording.
Because it's actually a camcorder and not a DSLR.
Because now then it's not just recording to the card. It's bypassing the card, going through the HDMI, going into the Black Magic.
Okay.
That's why we want to do that.
Cool.
But the Macklemore, do you shoot a lot more? Do you shoot live shows, or do you find yourself more of the guy who builds the sets? And because I'm answering your own question. I'm asking a question and I'm going, oh, well, you worked with Jeff Sachs and he talks about how you built all the sets and you're like the best set builder he's ever had.
So, there has been a lot of people that have been very influential in my upbringing, and I believe heavily in assisting and heavily in having mentors and, learning the craft, because there's a lot to it. There's a lot of super successful people that just go out there and do it, and they're great and they learn on the fly. I like to know what's in my toolkit so I can just pull from the different areas. So I would shoot more in studio. I would like to think that is my niche. I really like live stuff. I don't shoot from the pit. If I shoot live, I'm in the crowd. I'm in there with the other people that are experiencing it and trying to show the concert goers experience. For me, the pit stuff is, there's people like this guy, Todd Oyoung. I shoot shows that he's really good at it. Or Getty, like a lot of the people I work with, there are Getty people at the show already, and they have access to the pit, and I'm not going to compete with that guy.
No, they shoot the same stuff
every day. He's got those 12 shots that he's going to shoot, and I have this access. So my access is better used in the dressing room or in the quick change tents, or like going anywhere in the theater I want.
Quick change tents. I haven't encountered too many of those. I guess when Mariah Carey, when I shot her back in the day, she had quick change tents, but I guess that is exactly what it is. They quickly change before they go back on stage.
Yeah, so for those of you at home that don't know what it's like, for a show where there's multiple wardrobe looks, on the side of the stage, there's not enough time for the people to go all the way back to the dressing room. Sometimes your dressing rooms are far away. For those of you who've seen Spinal Tap, it's confusing. Arrows everywhere telling you where to go. So we bring these tents, they're black, and they have everything you need. All your different looks are hung up in them. For those of you that have seen my Big Time Rush work on Nickelodeon, there's you'll see some videos of the quick change tents or some still photographs in the galleries. And it's kind of interesting, like what it takes to make a big rock and roll show. Go ahead.
The assisting thing is really important. How important has networking been for you?
Okay, networking is probably the number one way that I receive work. A lot of my work has come from people I know in my network. Now and then I get the occasional call, like from Malcolm Moore's management. Like that was a random call, and most of my random calls like that don't pan out to jobs. Every really great job has come from a connection to my social network somewhere. And even like, let's talk about assisting for a second. Ben Loiner, who's been on your show, I worked for Ben for a handful of years. I met Ben via his best friend's cousin. His best friend's cousin was a guy named Cyrus Marshall, great photographer in New York. Cyrus, his cousin, was a guy named Jacob in a band called May. I toured with May. I was at Irving Plaza one time in New York, and I was telling Jacob what I'm up to. And he was like, dude, my cousin's here. He's a photographer. Meet him. I met Cyrus. Cyrus is like, dude, why don't you come on a job tomorrow and work for me? And I was like, okay, I'll gladly do that.
Yeah.
I was young and eager, and I was like, at the time I was working in New York between tours, taking the trash out of Irving Plaza, trying to make ends meet so I could pay my rent. And I was like, I'll absolutely work for you. Called out of work, went to work for him. And then when I moved to Philadelphia, he's like, look up my friend Ben Loiner. And I hounded Ben. Like Ben was like just moving in. He wasn't like, didn't have assistants, was trying to figure out what to do and settle into a new city. And I would call him like every 2 weeks. Like, let's go get coffee. Let's go out, And then finally one day, we were shooting a job he was shooting a job. I was assisting for him for like Philly Style or somebody. And then that just led to, a great friendship and relationship. Fast forward like 5 years, I'm doing a lot of video work now. Ben was shooting a show called Immortalized for AMC. And he was doing all the gallery. And the gallery is like all the promotional work, the billboards.
Is that show out yet?
The show came out, and
that was the one we weren't allowed to talk about.
Oh, were you not? Oh, it was probably the one you weren't allowed to talk about in the interview with Ben. It didn't do well.
I never heard of it.
Everything looked good. Like we were really proud of what we created, but the ratings didn't do well. It was like taxidermy.
Oh, yeah, that's the
meets,
one.
Like Project Runway.
Right.
Very odd concept. So Ben's out there shooting the gallery for it, and they wanted a video guy. And they weren't sure what the needs were going to be, but they're like, let's have somebody out there. And Ben's like, to the ad agency, he's like, well, why don't we hire Shawn? I've known him forever. We've worked together. So it was me, Ben, and Richie. It was like the dream team together.
Yeah.
Richie helped both of us out, and I'm there capturing video.
How many shoes did Richie bring?
Richie might have bought 4 or 5 pairs of shoes.
For 3 days?
That dude never has a scuff on his shoe. We're like trudging through the mud, and the dirt's just bouncing off Richie's shoes. I don't know how he does it. Like,
It's called a new pair every day.
that dude loves his shoes. So we were out for like 2 weeks. Went to all these crazy places, met these great people, and I shot the opening sequence of the show. Did I know it at the time? No, but they loved what I made so much. They're like, oh, let's start the show with it. Let's use this for all the commercials for the show. And like,
Wow.
Without Ben Loyner, that wouldn't have happened. And that's my social network, you know?
Yeah, and the networking thing is the most important thing you can do. We know from the road, everybody on the road knows everybody else. It's like you put in a feeler, they're like, oh, I've toured with this guy, I've toured with that guy. You know what? I know somebody out with this person. Let me call them, and maybe they'll get you out there for a couple of days.
Exactly.
And that's the road. That is the road.
So, 6 Degrees of Jared Polin, like, I'm out with Big Time Rush.
Yeah.
Our drummer for Big Time Rush, Jordan Pulaski, is a dude that knows you because of the
Perry
when you're
Farrell.
without Perry.
Yeah.
And he's like, I love that dude. And I was like, I grew up with that dude. You know, and it's like everybody knows everybody. There's a saying that like in any niche industry, there's 500 people that make that happen. And I could see that, you know, in music photography, it may even be smaller.
For photography, yeah.
Yeah.
But when it comes to touring people on the road, like roadies and stuff, everybody knows somebody else because everybody's toured with somebody. They've come up, you know, touring in a van to going to touring in the buses to flying in airplanes, the biggest bands in the world. I mean, it's just, I have friends now, he tours with Matis and then he tours with Phoenix. And then because he's toured with Phoenix, he's met guys that were with Phoenix who then toured with so-and-so, and then so-and-so calls you and you're like, oh, snap. And they just hook you up.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's how I did the Gavin DeGraw thing, and then I will parlay that into shooting somebody else, and it's just spending time on the road. I just wish I got those calls from Macklemore's people, because that's not the type of work I do. I do more of the behind-the-scenes hanging out, more than the setup stuff. I've seen your setup stuff.
Thank you.
It's good stuff.
Oh, there's a pause there. You're like, I've seen your setup stuff.
No, because I'm thinking about the
Pause.
setup stuff, like the pool one that you did in Sax's place. You put somebody in a pool.
Okay, so that wasn't in a studio. We actually had to go out and find a pool. And I couldn't afford to rent a housing at the time. So I bought an old Nikonos underwater camera, figured out how to hotwire a flash sync to it, and then, you know.
Because flash and hot wiring sounds good when you're going underwater.
Exactly. It's a really important thing to do. But yeah, it was like I was shooting digital at the time, and I proofed all the shots of digital, but couldn't afford the underwater housing. So I was like, the band didn't have any money. So like, what can we do? And I'm like, oh, this Nikonos is $80.
$80
Is $80. Where'd I get it from? I don't know, like K&H or somebody.
Yeah.
Some used place. And it turned out great. You know, it was back to like shooting with film. And I've since, and I know you've been experimenting with lately, I've gotten back to using film, and I've gotten a couple of really cool antique cameras. And I don't know, it's just, I'd like to keep creative. And I think that's really important, to keep reinventing yourself.
Yeah.
You can't keep doing the same thing
I
because
know.
people start imitating you, and people have seen it before. So it's like, however you can keep fresh is really important to me.
So what are you doing next? I know you've got coming up, you're spending 21 days out somewhere.
Yeah, I'm doing a movie and a backpacking trip. I kind of like, it's not, I wouldn't call it an expedition, because I think expedition, I think you're going to Mount Everest or like some crazy range. We are walking from Yosemite National Park to Mount Whitney, and it's 230 miles the way we're going. And it's going to be me and Jeff Sachs.
Oh, yeah?
Jeff was my mentor, for those of you who don't know, and he like gave me my upbringing, and we're 20 years apart. He's turning 50.
Yeah,
and,
turning 25, though. He's a cool guy.
Yeah, definitely 50 turning 25. Great dude. So we're going to make a film about what it's like to struggle creatively and being in a connected society, and then how we reconnect with nature and like what it means to us. So I think it's going to be really interesting, and we're going to make a film about it. And if there's a good story, we'll put it out. If there's not, we spent, you know, a lot of time in the backcountry, you know, having fun, watching beautiful sunrises, making a film.
Broke backcountry.
Not so much. But
You're not bringing any ladies along?
no ladies.
No. Darn. How do you just get up and go? I mean, you seem to always be going somewhere. How do you continue to run a business when you're out somewhere for 21 days in the backcountry, or just out of nowhere somebody goes, hey, why don't you come on the road, and you do it?
It's very hard. The most important part, I think, is your accounting. And what I've been working on is trying to get the right person in place. And I finally found a guy. Again, I guess it goes to your, back to your network. There's a really good dude named Dustin Snipes, great photographer from LA. I hit him up and I was like, Dustin, who's your accountant? And he's like, shares me the information. And it turns out I have this amazing guy, because I haven't paid my 2012 taxes yet.
That's not good.
I just filed 2011. It catches up. You go away for 6 months of the year, even if it's just spread out. You don't have time for this stuff.
Well, the black hole of touring, that's what somebody told me. When I first started touring, they're like, watch out for the black hole. You'll get there. And that's when you wake up one day and you just sit there and you're staring into space, and all time and everything has stopped.
Yeah, I can see that. And when I first started touring, I was so poor that's where you got. You didn't make enough money to make your ends meet, but you wanted to stay out there and you wanted to figure out how it worked. And then you'd be in credit card debt. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. I had a great experience.
Yeah.
So it's hard to keep my business running. Last year, I was lucky enough to have 2 people that work for me, and they would be my people on the ground that made everything happen back in the office. This year has taken a different direction, and I lost one of them. She went to Jennifer Lopez.
Darn, you lost somebody to J-Lo.
Yeah, it sounds romantic, but it's a bummer.
What do I have that? I mean, what's J-Lo have that I don't have?
A Phantom Rolls Royce.
Oh, well, you don't have a Phantom Rolls Royce?
Yeah, she my assistant, she's like, I got to drive J-Lo's Rolls today. And I was like, you don't like the Subaru? Come on. That is a great car.
So that's what happens in LA.
That's what happens in LA. Celebrities steal your assistants. So right now I am in the process of finding a new one. I had somebody lined up, and she was awesome. She had video skills. She had photography skills. And her first day of work, she flaked. She's like, I've been working on this film, and they want to keep me around longer. And I think there's a better, it's a better fit. They can give me more days during the week. And I was like, I was going to give you the perfect creative job. You work 3 days a week, more if you want, less if you want. You can work whenever you want, make your own schedule, and then you can still pursue what you want to do. So any of you Fro listeners out there, starting in February, I think I'll be accepting applications.
Tell them where to go.
Go to www.ShawnCorrigan.com. That's ShawnCorrigan.com, and send me an email. Resume, cover letter is great. Sum it up, real short, 1 paragraph, and then
go from there.
Go from there. Yeah. Hopefully we can find somebody good.
That's a pretty good opportunity. That's a very good opportunity. So you talked about Psy. You said you had a Psy story.
So Psy is this great performer, right?
Very good.
And he's only known for one song. At least in America, right? He's got 12 records, but we know one song in America. So he plays his hit song twice. He's like, okay, this first time, everybody bring your cameras out, take pictures of me, do your thing. And then on the second time, I want all your cameras down. He's like, I don't want to see any cell phones. He's like, I want you to dance.
Now, did he say that?
He says that.
In proper English or broken English?
I think it's more of, broken English, whatever.
Just checking.
The best he can do.
Yeah. I was just making sure he wasn't he speaks fluent English when nobody's looking and doesn't when.
Have you?
Well, there's people that do that.
I can see that.
There's people that feign knowing the language and then they cover it up, but really they know their English or other languages very well. But anyway, so you put the song down, put the cameras down.
Put the cameras down and dance. And I think that's great. Especially when you're known for one song.
Yeah.
Well,
that's cool.
Yeah.
I got to shoot him from the pit. I put up a first-person shooter video of that where I put the whole song that he sang. You have the GoPro on top of the camera, center stage. I was right in the middle,
okay,
right in the best spot where he dances, and you can see the whole thing and all the photos that happen with it.
Tell me about that for a second, because I've tried the first-person shooter thing. Yeah. I recently did the Kids' Choice Awards for Nickelodeon, and we did this unique system where I had 2 cameras with me, and everything I shot from the cameras within 30 seconds was live online. So we put wireless transmitters on it. We built a network, and I put GoPros right above the lenses, so you could see the lens, and see what I'm pointing at. But the video just turned out bad. It's choppy, or you see a lot of the orange carpet.
Well, Was it in the hot shoe or somewhere else?
I wanted to put it on the hot shoe, but I was like, you know what? A better place maybe on, because I was shooting a 7200, a 300 mil, and then I'd mix it in with the wide angle. So I put the camera right above the lens, so you could see the barrel of the lens to give you some context.
You can still see it when you put it on the
hot shoe.
Hot shoe, and I think it looks better because it's a little up.
Okay.
But in terms of choppy, I mean, it's Wi-Fi. You know, you're sending that wirelessly to go up on the internet. That's
I didn't do the POV.
Oh, it came up choppy
live.
After?
Like it felt like camera's up for a second. Okay, decisive moment. Okay, other camera.
It's all about editing.
Other camera.
Well, that's the thing. If you're not using one camera, like I did the same thing with Macklemore. When I shot him in the pit with the 1DX, I put the GoPro on top.
Okay.
And you can follow for like 3 minutes when I don't put the camera down to look or change or whatever.
Okay, because you're like, just following, you're zooming in, zooming out, and then we get to see that whole thing.
You get to see the whole progression.
Man, I wish we could see through the lens with you to see what you're framing and how you're unframing and moving around. That would be cool.
Well, I don't know how we would. I mean, I'm sure Sony has something that would allow you to take stills and video. I think a lot of them do, but not full RAW files yet.
Yeah, or we have that problem where we interrupt the video when you shoot video and still and the same thing. Well,
and I know that the Nikon 1, that crappy system that they came out with, allowed you to do video and pull stills at the same time without interrupting it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You can buy a Nikon 1 for like nothing if you really want to play with it for video.
Did it not do well, or they're just inexpensive?
I think it did well somewhere, but nobody wants it. Too small of a sensor. I didn't like it.
Okay. Right now for a point and shoot, I use the Nikon P300 because it's got that 24 mil lens and it's very bright. So
yeah, and
that's about it. Other than that, it's like old vintage film cameras.
Yeah.
So
Steven, what time is it? 33 minutes in. No, not how many long in, but what time is it? 11:23. Because we have to get Shawn to the airport.
Yes, I have a 1:45 JetBlue flight today.
So we should kind of get you out here in the next couple minutes.
Let's wrap this up. What haven't we talked about that you want to talk about?
Well, your ladies around the world.
Ladies around the world.
Because you have like, I'm gonna go all no homo on you right now, but Shawn, since day one of meeting him, is like, he's got those eyes, he's got that hair, he's got that swag. Speaking of swag, you run into Bieber ever?
I went to Mexico with Big Time Russian Bieber once.
Right, that was 100,000 people they were playing for. Yeah,
we played a game of hacky sack, and that was my Bieber.
That was your Bieber moment.
That's it. Nothing too great.
Nothing.
Yeah.
No Selena Gomez.
No Selena Gomez. Just the little game of hacky sack.
All right, but back to Man Crush here.
Okay.
If anybody look at his eyes. Steven is going to cut to his eyes. Maybe his eyes. Look at those things. Blink into the camera. Maybe this will get me more female readers because most of them are not female readers. No, it's just you seem to get along with everybody. I've had that problem myself back in the day. I just don't get along with everybody for whatever reason. I just rub people the wrong way. But you and Richie are so likable. You go on the road and everybody likes you. And the ladies, talk about the ladies.
There's this one special lady.
Where's she live?
We lived together until like 2 weeks ago. And she is now in San Francisco getting her master's.
All right. Where's she from? Where'd you meet her?
I met her in New York. I was on tour with Big Time Rush, and I met her on her birthday, and we did like the long distance New York thing. And for me, it's easy to do long distance because I'm never home.
Right.
So I have a house in Los Angeles and a studio there, but I'm never there. So it's like 6-9 months of the year, I'm just flying. So if wherever I come back to is home for that week, so like, if I want to be in New York, so I'll just call New York home and I'll stay with some friends, or in Philadelphia, I'll be like, hey, Jared, let me come sleep at the loft. And you'll be like, all right.
Yeah, fine.
Fine.
Pull up a carpet.
So she's in San Francisco now. We have 2 amazing cats. If you follow my Instagram feed, you'll definitely see pictures of.
What is it? Your Instagram?
It's Shawn_Corrigan, and my Twitter's Shawn Corrigan. So everything's my name. I'm very easy to find. So
cool.
If you want to work for me, though, no phone calls. Let's keep the emails first.
But somebody's going to call you.
It always happens.
They'll be like, hey, I heard you talking on Fro, and I want to have a job with you. You're going to get a call from like somebody in the Middle East asking for a job.
I get these weird emails sometimes, and I'm curious if it's people wanting advice on pricing or just trying to see what their competition charges. They're like nondescript emails like, how much to shoot me for an hour? And I'm like,
I can't do anything with that. Sorry.
You know, you write them back, you try to be polite, and you're like, tell me more about yourself or your band or this. And then I often wonder, I'm like, are these people just putting out feelers to see how they should price themselves?
Yeah.
And if so, I wish they would just write and be like, yo, how should I price this?
Yeah.
So
closing it out.
let's close it.
Dream shoot.
What would be my dream shoot?
Yeah.
You know that Annie Leibovitz shot of the White Stripes when they're on top of that building in New York and they're throwing knives at each other? It would be something like that.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool. I really love conceptual photographs. So the dream shoot would be having money from a brand to be creative with. You know, like, hey, go out and do some creative stuff, or we really like your style. Just shoot stuff that we would like.
Yeah.
So,
That's cool.
Yeah, I haven't really thought about the nuts and bolts of it, but it'd be something like that.
All right. Well, we're going to let you get your Uber cab on the way so that you can get to the airport and fly back to L.A.
Great.
Thank you for coming on, Shawn.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'd invite you back. Next time you're in, let's do it again. We'll talk about something else.
Cool. Let's do it, man.
All right,
Great.
guys.
Thanks for having me, man.
No problem. Thank you for not spilling your coffee on my table.
You got it. iPhone
All right.
first.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, right on top of the iPhone. So a big thanks to Shawn Corrigan. Check out his stuff. Go to his website. That's what we've got. And I'll be right back. And there you have it, guys. That is the interview with Shawn Corrigan. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you are in LA, yeah, there's an opportunity there. Just don't be a pain in the butt, but be enough of a pain in the butt that you get seen. Make sure that here's what I'll tell you how to do. Like he said, keep it brief. Send him an email. Hey, Shawn, I heard you on RAWtalk. Or just put in the subject line, RAWtalk. Include in it a short paragraph about who you are and what you do. Make sure you include your work, a link to your work, and what you're interested in. Keep it short, get to him, follow up on it after it's been out for a couple days or a week or something, and try to stay up on it. But really, get to the point in your email. Make it happen. Show him your work. Prove to him why he should get an interview. You should get an interview with him, and then you can take it from there. That's what you need to do. But really, I really appreciate him coming in. I would love to have him on again. I think he's a great guest. He has a ton of stories. He's been around the world. He's a good-looking guy. Just don't stare at his eyes if you're a lady or a guy that likes guys, because you may get sucked in to those baby blues. I mean, I was staring at his eyes. I was like, oh my God, this Shawn Corrigan's eyes are so amazing. Look at these things. And then Steven gets nervous and starts doing that laugh I've heard.
What?
Yeah, people were saying that you do this laugh.
My fake laugh?
Your fake
That's what I
laugh.
saw.
That's what the guy said.
I
It's
think
not a
it's
fake
funny.
laugh. Yeah, it is funny.
I guess my laugh sounds like it's a fake laugh.
It's not a fake laugh. It's
I
a
don't know.
Steven laugh.
Yeah.
And speaking of, they told you what song that was?
Yes. I already forget what it was called, but I know the
It was
song
like
is
some
now,
guy named Florida, but not Florida.
Yeah, it was something along
It was
those
like
lines.
Florida.
Yeah, and my friends told me about it too after we did the show. I'm like, what song is that? Because they play it all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I just think it's ridiculous, personally, in my opinion.
In your opinion.
But yeah, so now I know what song that is. And yeah.
All right, guys. So to wrap it up, don't forget about Nikon Allen's Palooza, or Allen's Nikon Palooza, on September 21st, 2013, from 11 to 4. Free prizes, thousands of dollars of giveaways, free tacos, and you don't need to pay anything to enter. It's free. So just show up, hang out with us. We're going to have some fun. There's going to be some other discounts there. And for all the photo news this week, check out the website. You can see the full stories there on the RAWtalk page under each episode. This is RAWtalk number 50, where we had Shawn Corrigan as a guest. Steven, have a good one, man.
You too.
All right, I'm going to sign out. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya.